Hey, what's up everybody? You're watching Urban Adventures. I'm William. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal videos. It's definitely not going to be an adventure episode where we go out on the town or a city and go to places to shop, eat, and hang out at. This video is just a reflection of my first 6 months of creating content, videography, video editing, and the things I faced thus far and my experiences. And I could talk about a number of topics, but I'm going to keep it to 3 topics that I felt was worth sharing with you guys. And the purpose of this video is like twofold. It can be oriented towards people who've supported my channel this far and me sharing my personal experiences and challenges and growth in this last 6 months, and it also can be oriented towards people who are prospective on starting their own YouTube channel and really don't know where to start. It can be an easy and a daunting process in terms of like equipment, scripting, video editing, and that such. And you know, for people who are just starting, just like for me, it's a challenging process. So like I said, I wanted to talk about 3 subjects, and the first one was it relates to camera gear and production equipment like laptop software, lenses, tripods, microphones, and camera bodies. The second subject I wanted to cover was challenges that I face, mostly mental challenges, you know, psychological challenges. And the last is I wanted to talk about is goals I've had for not necessarily like viewership or the amount of subscribers I get or the amount of content I want to put out. It's mostly about things I feel like I should learn to make better content, to vlog and portray what I experience and do for leisure, and to better portray it and put it out there for you guys. Okay, so let's get on the first subject. So when I first started, well, hold on. I started this channel in September, but I already had the thought process and planning starting in August of this year, August 2022. When I first started, I thought I needed like the state-of-the-art camera equipment and laptop and such. And so when I first started, I thought I needed the same thing that experienced YouTubers were using. I thought I needed a Sony a7S III or a Canon R5 camera, both of which are really expensive cameras, and I didn't know if I was going to be doing this 2 years from now. So I think the Sony a7S III, it retails for like $3,500 retail without a lens, and then by the time you buy all the accompanying accessories, like you need a special memory card to take advantage of the video capability of that camera anyway. So a lens, camera body, and memory card and whatever else, you're out over $5,000, you know. And then I'm really glad I didn't end up going that route without knowing what I was getting myself into. I ended up using a camera that I already had from doing my DJ live stream. I started that live stream like 2 years ago, and I actually had a couple cameras in the 2-year course. Ended up keeping one, and that was my Sony a6100. I'll actually tell you guys everything I have now, and I purchased since like August of 2022. So I already said I had the Sony a6100, and that camera I bought out of box from Best Buy. I think I paid like $650 for it. I ended up purchasing the first lens I ended up purchasing off of Craigslist used was the Sony 10 to 18 millimeter f4 lens. That is like, people call it a vlogging lens. It's a super wide angle zoom lens, and I used that pretty much for the first 4 months of vlogging, and then I ended up purchasing the lens that I'm using now, used off of Craigslist, and that's the 16 to 70 millimeter f4 lens. I actually ended up buying it from the same guy that I bought the 10 to 18 millimeter from. It's kind of coincidental because when you look at listings on Craigslist, it doesn't say who the poster is, you know. And then when I went out to the coffee shop to pick up the second lens, it ended up being this older gentleman, same dude. Both of those lenses, I don't think I paid more than like $400 for any one of them, and they do everything I need them to do, and they work just fine. What else did I buy? I ended up getting a new laptop. I needed a new laptop anyway. I don't know if I needed the laptop I got just for another personal computer, but for video editing I definitely needed it, and it was inexpensive but worthwhile purchase. I ended up getting a MacBook Pro 14, 2021, or maybe it was 2022. I can't even remember. But that was a necessary purchase. It was expensive. It was like 2,500 bucks, and I'm gonna be able to use that thing for at least 10 years. So what else did I get? I ended up getting 2 tripods, a Geektoto AT24ProDreamer and this really small tabletop Joby tripod, and they're worth every penny. I think I spent $120 on the Geektoto tripod and like $15 or $15 or $20 on the Joby tabletop. They're worthwhile investments. And what else did I get? I got a shotgun microphone, a Deity D3 I'm gonna mess this up. A Deity V3 Pro mic, and that purchase was worth every penny, and I'm gonna talk about that in a bit. So that was $130, and I'm gonna be able to use that microphone even when I get a better camera for a while. And I think that's more worthwhile purchase than me purchasing anything that would have made the video better, because in telling you guys everything that I bought and thought I needed, what I'm trying to say is that if I bought the really expensive camera equipment like that Sony a7S III or the Canon R5, what I learned in the first 3 months is that it wouldn't have made my my storytelling better. And that's ultimately what people are watching YouTube videos for. They want to be told a story about your sharing of your experience in a day or however long the video time lapses. And if I had achieved cinematic quality footage, it wouldn't have made my scripting better. It wouldn't have made any storyline better than it actually is. And it would have been expensive. I would have been out over $5 grand, and I don't know if I would have been doing YouTube videos 2 years from now. So, that's what I'm trying to say about the equipment. And do I want to achieve like cinematic quality footage? Of course I do. Eventually I'm gonna break the bank and end up buying one of those cameras, and learning the ins and outs of making like 4K quality cinematic footage. Up to this point, most of my videos have been in 1080p, and I've gotten a lot of critique. Nobody has critiqued, said, hey William, the quality of the video needs to be better. If it's not in 4K, we're not gonna watch it. Nobody said anything like that. People were more or less like critiquing me about my scripting and how I depicted experiences. They would say things like, oh, you need to be more descriptive about the tacos you're eating, or you need to be more descriptive about what brought you to this record store, things like that. It was never about the video quality or anything like that. Well, I'll say this: if the video quality was so bad you weren't able to see in good detail what I was describing, like if I was talking about food or clothing and showing it to you guys, that you couldn't make out what it was, and that clearly was not the case. So all in all, I'm trying to say the expensive camera equipment wouldn't have made the storyline any better, and I'm really glad that I didn't end up spending like thousands of dollars on camera equipment I didn't know how to use. Now looking back now, 6 months into it, I actually understand what the amenities of those more expensive cameras are. And even now I would have to do a pretty good amount of studying and get schooled up on how to use those cameras to their full capacity. That's just a reflection on equipment. And like I said, I'm really glad I didn't spend too much money on getting into something a little bit blind in terms of like camera equipment, laptops, and production support equipment and software. Now let's talk about challenges I faced up in this point. Mental challenges, mostly psychological challenges. They relate mostly to public speaking. I want to give you guys a little bit of background on my education and experience public speaking. I was a late bloomer in terms of academics. I don't think I started going to college until I was like 28. And prior to that, I was in the Army for like 7 years. And I got some public speaking experience in the military, but it was never something so formal and structured to where people explained to me how to arrange an argument or speaking about a topic. So I started undergrad when I was 28, and I remember my first public speaking course. The first assignment was that we had to give a 4-minute speech on a profound extreme experience that changed our lives forever. And I think I talked about the first and only time I went skydiving. You know, in that 4-minute speech, I was so nervous, I lost like 2 pounds just sweating. You know, and that's something about my public speaking experience that it's kind of like graphic, and it's real. It's real stuff. Since then, you know, throughout undergrad, my public speaking assignments, they got longer and more detailed. And you know, even at work and wherever I got the chance to do public speaking assignments, I would seize the opportunity when it came. And it never got really that much more comfortable to speak in front of people. It just, I was able to structure my delivery better in talking. And then in undergrad, the assignments got even longer. I think, I mean, in grad school, the assignments got even longer. I remember in grad school, I had to give an hour lecture about the effect of public revenues on self-driving vehicles. And I gave it, and it was good, but I mean, I was still nervous, you know? I'm telling you guys all this because when I started doing vlogs and shooting video in public, it was a unique kind of public speaking stress in that I felt like if I had a response from an audience, even though I was nervous, it would have been easier than talking to a camera in public, like in a restaurant or someplace else where there's people. The self-consciousness that I experienced when people were watching me and they don't know what I'm doing, oh my goodness, it was tremendously nerve-wracking the first couple of times. It still kind of is. And I'll share with you guys what helped me push through that inhibition, and maybe it'll be useful to you guys. What I thought about was that I started doing a DJ live stream online when the pandemic first happened. And when I first started, I was extremely nervous about like getting on a microphone and like interacting with the crowd. The communication was mostly through text in the chat boxes and stuff. And then some mentors I had that were also streaming, they said, "Hey William, you got to incorporate the microphone. It adds another level of interaction, personal interaction, that people who don't incorporate a microphone, they're not getting that connectedness with their crowd." And so I was extremely nervous about getting on the microphone. But I still did it, and it became easier, and the channel kind of grew because of that. Well, not just because of that, the music and the decorations and the lighting, it mattered too, but it added another element of connectivity that was missing from the channel. And you know, what pushed me through that kind of pushed me through the nervousness of speaking in front of people that were watching, but not necessarily an audience, is that, okay, when I was doing the DJ live stream, and I would get nervous, I would think about why I was doing it. You know, and why I was doing it, I was sharing something like personal with music that I thought was really good with people that were out there in the crowd, and I was basically like portraying music and experience in ways that I had control for them to experience it. And it was kind of the same for vlogging. So I'm vlogging about places I'm eating and shopping at and hanging out at and getting drinks at, that normally, if it wasn't on video, I'd share with people just through talking about it to them. They're like friends and family. You tell them about places you went on vacation, places you went out to eat and hang out at, and you share it with them because it was such a fun experience. You're enthused about sharing it with them, and that's what got me through some of the inhibitions I had of making video in public when people don't know what I'm doing and I'm nervous. You know, I think about, okay, I want to share this experience I had, whatever I'm doing that day with friends, going out to eat, playing mini golf, going to flea markets, going to record stores, and I have the ability to portray the experience in a way that I have controls on it, the way it looks and the way I can make it sound, and that's what motivated me to push through the nerves, you know. And another thing that made me less nervous is, okay, the fact that you can take as many takes as you want, and you know, even now when I go out to shoot in public, before I shoot that first clip of video, I am nervous. You know, even through all the scripting and practicing of the script, I get nervous, and then after the second or third blooper reel, I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. And that's what ultimately gets me through the nerves of having to shoot in public. And I am not the most confident public speaker, but I feel like I've done a significant amount of growth in this first 6 months, and I'm so thankful I started doing this. Yeah, but that's that much about my challenges, my greatest challenges in making content last topic, we can move on to that one. Goals I have for myself in content creation. I want to eventually shoot in 4K. I mean, this video right now, it's being shot in 4K. The camera that I have now, I can't shoot in 4K and start moving it around like really fast, panning side to side, and get like clean quality content. It has really bad rolling shutter. I didn't even know what rolling shutter was 5 months ago, and I quickly found out. It's when the sensor can't catch up to the image copying, and when you start panning side to side, the image either looks like jello or it looks like it's skipping frames. It doesn't look good, you know. And then most of my videos have been shot at 1080p, and that's my limitation on like run and gun shooting with this camera, and that's okay, you know. But I eventually want to shoot in 4K, and if that means I have to spend upwards of $5 grand on getting a camera that can shoot in 4K and not have the problem with rolling shutter, that's what I'm going to do. But in doing that, my goal is to learn color grading, and color grading is when you add highlights, shadows, and color in post-production. And when you shoot it on your camera, you're usually shooting in what's called a log profile, and that's a flat picture profile. When you're shooting in log on one of those expensive cameras that I described, Sony a7S III, Canon R5, when you're shooting in log, the image on the viewfinder and the back screen, it looks flat, it looks gray, it looks really dull. All right, crows. All right. It looks really dull, and why people do it is if you do that in post-production, you have more dynamic range in shadows, color saturation, and highlights. That's ultimately what makes the video look cinematic, really high quality. But that's one of my goals, and the next goal is I want to get better at video editing, learn more about the program I'm using, Final Cut Pro, and what else? For sure, better at scripting and thinking about creative things to do and show you guys. That's it in a nutshell. My reflections on 6 months into vlogging. Pretty stoked about like making videos, and I get really excited and nervous when I'm planning and I'm going out to shoot content. It's been a really fun experience thus far, and I plan to keep on doing this until I'm unenthused about it, which I don't think is coming in the near future. But in the future videos, I definitely want to highlight a day I go to jiu-jitsu. You know, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for like 13 years, and I want to include it in a video before I stop jiu-jitsu. And I don't see myself doing jiu-jitsu for more than like a couple years. You know, I'm 13 years into it. My body's all like busted up, but I want to share that experience with you guys. And I also want to include in one of the future videos how I prepare and decorate for a DJ live stream online. I definitely want to show you guys that too. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Hope this video was helpful for somebody just starting out wanting to make content, or just informative about my own experiences in the last 6 months creating content for all of you guys who have been supporting my channel. If you guys like the content on this channel and this video, please subscribe, like, comment, share with people you know, and we'll be coming out with more videos for you guys to check out. And what do we always say at the end of each video? Support local business, take care of each other, but most importantly, take care of yourselves. Hope you guys are having a good new year. Happy 2023, everything healthy, and we'll see you guys in the next video.